Hello, I'm going to walk you through a quick guide to get Vivado set up for UVM, since we're having some issues running QuestSM on ASIC Fab right now. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to start by creating a project, and then you're going to be putting this inside of your existing folder that you have your design under test in. So just hit next through here. In this case, I'm going to be doing it with the adder UVM example from the Purdue SoCET GitHub. So let me just name that adder UVM. This is going to be the name of the folder inside of that location. And you can see that I already have that folder selected because this is my second time doing it in order to record this video. So you can see adder UVM folder. This is where it's going to be creating that sort of Vivado directory, so that stores the Vivado files there. Just hit next through this. You're going to want to have RTL projects. We're going to specify sources later. Don't worry about that. That's not important. And then hit next through this too. So Vivado is actually an FPGA programming software. We're kind of reusing it for our purposes, so we just have to select a dummy board so that it thinks it's programming an FPGA, but we don't actually need to provide the FPGA files. Alright, so now we're going to have to configure some settings in order to enable UVM. Let me pop open the sticky note real quick so you can see the steps here. So we're going to go to Settings. There it goes. Simulation. And then to Elaboration. And then we're going to go down here to this xsim compile xvlog.more options. Xsim... Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Apologies. Xsim compile xvlog more options. Don't worry about all of this. It's just how you need to set it up. So apply there. There you go. Oh, and you can see I typed -L, then lowercase UVM, and that's all you need there. So then you're going to want to go to the Elaboration tab. So just right over here. And then you're going to want to scroll down until you see XELab more options. I see it right there. And then you're going to type the exact same thing, -L UVM. And that's just sort of how you enable the UVM library. So at this point, Vivado is all set up to do everything you need for UVM. That's it. Now, you do need to add in your sources into your sort of like Vivado configuration file. So you can do that through this add sources here. You're going to want to say that there's simulation sources. It should work for design or simulation, but in this case, simulation is just more clear. Then you're going to want to say add directory. And then you're going to choose your UVM directory. So in this case, for the adder UVM example, all of the UVM files are just in the directory, and there's no subdirectory with the UVM files. In most cases, you're going to have a source and a UVM directory, so you would want to just choose that sort of subdirectory named UVM. For example, if you look at my personal project here, here's my UVM directory, here's my source directory, so I would just go through and I would choose this directory for my UVM. But because all of our files are just inside of this first level adder UVM directory, we don't need to do that, so we can just choose this directory. Okay, and that's it. We can hit finish. Now, you also need to add in your design under test itself. So you would hit design sources for that, then either add files or add directories, and then you would choose, so to go back to my personal project, for example, I would be choosing the source directory now. However, in the specific case of adder UVM here, everything is just in the first folder, so we don't actually need to specify a source directory. I don't know. It just how this specific example works out. So I'm actually going to cancel out of this, but if you were doing this in your own project, you would just choose your source directory here. Okay, so now it's all set up. How do we actually run it? Super easy. It is in this Run Simulation tab. You just hit Run Behavior Simulation, and then it's going to be loading, and it's going to load for quite a while. So you might have to wait, 2, 3, 5 minutes for it to finish running its thing. If it encounters any errors, it'll fail really quickly. So it's a good sign when you see it sitting there loading. If you do encounter any errors, so I would encourage you to go to this Tickle console. So this is where it'll be telling you all of your information. Like here you see that there's some warnings. Those aren't super important. But if it fails compilation, then it would be throwing all of your errors inside of this console here. There's also this messages tab that could be helpful if there's syntax issues, but generally I find it to be more useful to just go to the Tickle console directly. Okay, so now you can see that it's done. You have a nice waveform up here. In this case, it just has the clock up. That's not super important because we're doing UVM, so what we really care about is this console down here. So here, let me just Control F for UVM info and go all the way up to the top here, and you can see the output right at the top. Did I go past it? I might have gone past it. Okay, so here you can see the output from our test bench. So for this specific test bench, how they have it set up is that it'll put out UVM info and expected and actual, and then you can kind of visually compare them. You can set up yours to do however you want it to. But here you can see that, okay, it's the expected value and the actual value are the same. It's passing that test case. It's passing this one. Overflow, sum, all the way that it's expected to be. All is well and good. And so on and so forth. So anyways, that is how you run UVM inside of Vivado. So while we have QuestaSim down, which should only be a few days, but this is a way that you can be running your UVM test benches even without access to that tool. So thanks for listening.